Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Live Chat with James, coming to you from the studios here in Vancouver, British Columbia. Here at the ProPic Studios tonight, we are paying attention to a lot of the headlines that we're going to be discussing, but in particular, of course, the passing of music legend Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, the Prince of Darkness has passed away at the age of 76. He has been suffering from several illnesses and dealing with chronic pain and the need to have others assist him in most daily activities. It was just recent that he performed his last concert and was very much satisfied with the ability to be able to be before his fans in one last showing. Of course, we know that the world of social media has blown up with memes and tributes to the one and only Osbourne. And of course, those have come from not only fans, but also other musicians who had the pleasure of working with Ozzy over the years, or even musicians who were inspired by his unique stylings and the unique music that he brought out, not just as a solo artist, but of course as the lead singer and founder of the band Black Sabbath. Now, the world is reeling over this news, but again, it really shouldn't come as a huge surprise. But what it should do is allow us to know that Ozzy is at least at peace and that he is no longer suffering. As you can see here on the screen, there is just a complete flooding of the internet, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all of the above. The tributes are just pouring in for Ozzy Osbourne. Our thoughts and our prayers, of course, are with the Osbourne family today as they move forward, trying to adjust to this new reality without the Prince of Darkness at their side. On Thursday night, I also wanted to let you know that we will have a very special episode of Primetime Live over on Jess TV and Jess FM. Although based out of Lethbridge, Alberta, we will be reaching out across the globe. You'll be able to call in, share your memories, excuse me, that you had listening to Ozzy Osbourne's music or Black Sabbath. Share your thoughts, your condolences, and let us know what your favorite song was and favorite memory. Once again, the phone lines will be open at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time as the show goes live, and we'll open those up to discussions with the audience as we celebrate the life and the legacy of the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. For those who want to call in, whether it is through regular telephone or if you want to use WhatsApp, the number is 1-368-997-6741. Once again, you can call in from around the world using the WhatsApp at 368-997-6741, and that is this Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We won't shut down this show right away at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard. If the lines are busy, we may go on a bit longer than normal. But again, that's Thursday night on Jess FM, Jess FM, based in Lethbridge. But of course, I come to you from the studios in Vancouver, where I broadcast from at ProPix TV. So again, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we will celebrate the life and legacy of Ozzy Osbourne with open phone lines where you can call in either by traditional phone or through WhatsApp. You can also use the chat box, or if you want to send us texts, you can do so ahead of time to the number 1-368-997-6741, or you can email us directly. You can email smile, S-M-I-L-E, that is, at ProPix Canada, P-R-O-P-I-C-S Canada.com. So smile at ProPixCanada.com. Send your emails in, and some of them I will read on the show Thursday Night Live. Again, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you want to call in and share your memories with the audience and talk about Ozzy Osbourne, it will be, again, Thursday night on Primetime Live. And so moving on, folks, more news to cover in the show tonight. And of course, we are looking at the most recent idiotic tweet by Trump. Now, he has claimed that the US government has reached a trade agreement with Japan, which is very interesting because he also brings up the fact of investment into the US. So here I'm going to pull up his actual tweet this evening that he has shared, and I'll read it for anyone who may not be able to see it on their screen, as I know sometimes if you're on your phone, the screen shares can come up a little small to be able to make it out. Excuse me. So here we go. We just completed a massive deal with Japan, perhaps the largest deal ever made. Japan will invest, at my direction, $550 billion into the United States, which will receive 90% of the profits. How is the US going to get 90% of the profits? And let's look at it further. This deal will create hundreds of thousands of jobs. There has never been anything like it. Perhaps more importantly, Japan will open their country to trade, including cars and trucks, rice and certain other agricultural products, and other things. Japan will pay reciprocal tariffs to the United States of 15%. This is a very exciting time for the United States of America, and especially for the fact that we will continue to always have a great relationship with the country of Japan. And of course, thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't know why he puts that at the end of his tweets and messages. The guy's just a freaking idiot. Now, let's break this down a bit. First of all, at his direction, Japan's going to invest $550 billion because Trump directed them to. I call bullshit on that. Now, he also goes on to say that the U.S. will receive 90% of the profits. Then what is the incentive for Japan to invest that $550 billion? It does not make any sense whatsoever. Followed by the fact that he claims that Japan will pay reciprocal tariffs on top of that to the United States of 15%. So essentially, they are going to be paying the U.S. to allow them to invest in the country, and the U.S. gets to keep 105% of the profits, essentially, because you've got the 90% of profits plus a 15% tariff that apparently Japan is going to pay to Trump and the US government. This is ludicrous. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm curious if Japan actually knows that they've agreed to any type of deal. And this is, again, Donald Trump at his best to put news out there to try to distract you from the fact that he is all over the Epstein files, that his administration is shut down for essentially for the summer break, and of course trying to pray to the media gods that by the time they come back in September, the Epstein file will have blown past and other things will be top of mind, which of course he is going to be determined between now and then to create a new narrative and a new crisis that the media will focus on instead of the fact that they are redacting, they are editing, and in my opinion, they're probably creating fraudulent copies of the Epstein documents. They're probably making changes and adding things to the files, or just finding its way to the shredder on other documents. And that's my personal opinion of it. I think that he is the most corrupt president in the history of the world, especially when it comes to the U.S. And I think that he needs to be impeached and removed from office, but that's a decision for the U.S. taxpayers to make, not for me. But again, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. And believe me, I don't want to even put hands on him to throw him because of the fact I'd be covered in orange makeup. So the point being is that I call bullshit on this announcement by Donald Trump on his new tariff announcement and trade agreement announcement with Japan. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, let's move on to other headlines. Here in Vancouver, big news as the Filipino community is still reeling from the impacts of the tragedy at the Filipino festival. And this comes in as the accused who ran down and killed many people at the festival and injured others has now been charged with 3 more counts of second-degree murder, and that was up from the initial 8. There are ongoing discussions about the accused's mental health and his suitability to stand trial, and those reports are ongoing and assessments. So we'll watch and see what happens there. But again, the Filipino festival attacker has now been additionally charged with 3 more counts of second-degree murder. Late night liquor store service in Vancouver is going to be changing. Vancouver City Council has approved extending liquor service hours in the downtown core until 4 a.m. This is aiming to boost the local economy and nightlife. Concerns have been raised regarding the potential impacts on health and, of course, transit. Nothing is said there about safety and security, but I'm sure that will be looked into as well. An update in the teen stabbing death of a 15-year-old Surrey male in Vancouver, British Columbia. The individual was stabbed and deceased at Robson Square or near Robson Square in Vancouver. A 17-year-old suspect has been arrested in connection with the fatal stabbing. Apparently, he had turned himself in to a patrol officer in his area. So again, an individual has been charged, or at least is in custody at this point. He has not been formally charged yet by the Crown as the investigation is ongoing, but at this time he is in custody. And as we look at other news in the Metro Vancouver area, Paul Mockery, who is the city manager of the city of Vancouver, has tendered his resignation. He's been the city manager since April 2021, and he's resigned from his position. Mayor Ken Sim issued a brief statement confirming his departure, stating it was a mutual agreement that it was the right time for a leadership change. Mockery has been with the city for 14 years, holding various roles, including General Manager of Human Resource Services and Deputy City Manager before assuming the top administration post. Deputy City Manager Karen Levitt has been named as acting city manager during the transition period. The Kitzpool reservation system. Let's take a talk about that. The outdated reservation system for the Kitsilano Pool is at the heart of a growing dispute between the Vancouver Parks Board and Mayor Ken Sim's office. The system, implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic, has been criticized for leading to underutilization of the popular outdoor pool, with many residents reporting difficulties in securing swimming slots. The Park Board is reportedly considering ending or significantly revamping the system, a move that aligns with public sentiment but highlights ongoing government tensions between the two civic bodies. Therapy animals. Big news coming out of the Vancouver International Airport, where if you have flown in and out of YVR, you may have seen the therapy dogs that help to calm passengers who are suffering from anxiety and stress. Now they are expanding this popular program that is known as the Less Airport Stress Initiative Animal Therapy Program, or LASSI. This is going to be extended to include therapy ponies. Named Magic and Tinkerbell, these 2 miniature horses will join the existing team of therapy dogs, offering a unique approach to providing emotional support and comfort to anxious travelers. YVR is reportedly the first airport in Canada to introduce therapy ponies as part of its passenger well-being initiative. If you have run into the therapy dogs at the Vancouver International Airport or therapy animals at other airports, by all means, leave comments down below. Let us know what you thought of it and how your interaction with those animals, with the support animals, helped to alleviate some of your stress or anxiety of traveling. I'd love to hear about it. So share down in the comment section. Now, tonight marks the second night of the Honda Celebration of Light Fireworks Festival over English Bay in Vancouver. This evening's display will feature a pyrotechnic team from Quebec, following Saturday's inaugural show by Yukon. Large crowds are anticipated, and the city of Vancouver has put in place extensive road closures in downtown, the West End, Stanley Park, and Kitsilano. So be aware that they are particularly careful and shut down and restricted along Beach Avenue and Davie Street from 6 p.m. to midnight. But again, just plan ahead. If you are planning on parking in maybe a corporate lot or a public lot for paid parking, try to get down there early, as parking will be at a premium. Also consider that public transit and active transportation, such as walking or biking, are highly recommended. Once again, of course, transit puts on extra buses for the amazing amounts of people who show up down at the Celebration of Light Fireworks Festival. Also, you can add to that the event is happening right down at English Bay. So there are a lot of eateries and other places. If you go down early, make an evening of it, have a drink, have some food. One place that I would highly recommend, right down by the Laughing Statues there, is Taqueria Jalisco, a Mexican restaurant. Very authentic and amazing food at reasonable prices, something hard to find in the city of Vancouver. So again, check out Taqueria Jalisco down in English Bay. Enjoy your evening, stay safe, and remember, there's going to be a lot of people, so plan accordingly. Now let's take a look at some national headlines. Canada-U.S. trade talks are ongoing. Prime Minister Mark Carney and the provincial premiers are holding crucial meetings to discuss the ongoing trade negotiations with the United States. This comes ahead of the August 1st deadline set by U.S. President Donald Trump, who has threatened tariffs if a new agreement is not reached. Carney has reiterated that his government will only sign a deal that's in the best interest of the Canadians, and has expressed a willingness to take stock and consider alternative paths if a beneficial agreement isn't achieved, indicating the complexity and high stakes of the discussion. Now, let's also consider the fact that Donald Trump has sent these letters out to nations all over, but in that, he's also added a caveat to those letters that he can change the terms of tariffs or trade agreements at any time, given the relationship between the U.S. and the targeted country. This, again, is Donald Trump's way of saying that basically, even though we may agree on terms, don't think that that's going to just sit there and be the end-all be-all of the trade agreement. Again, he is very clear in the fact that he will be able to change any of the terms of the trade agreements on a whim. And that, of course, creates instability in international trade and international markets, something that Donald Trump obviously thrives on, creating chaos around the world. Now, he has come under this false understanding that he is the dictator and leader of the world, and that is the furthest from the case. Instead, what he's doing is alienating allies and pushing away trade partners. He has also alienated a lot of the tourism industry, not just from Canada, but around the world. People do not want to travel to the United States, where they fear they could be locked up on a whim of ICE agents and sent to Guantanamo Bay or anywhere else that the Trump administration and his departments decide to send them. Again, it is impacting the U.S. economy by billions of dollars each month, and Donald Trump just does not get the message. This is also going to be impacted even further, as the U.S. is going to be implementing a $250 U.S. visa integrity fee that'll be coming up. We don't know when that's going to be coming in, but it could be as early as this fall. So it'll cost you another $250 to travel into the U.S. to spend money and contribute to their economy. A lot of people are not going to be willing to do so. According to the U.S. government, there is a refund policy that if you comply with the visa regulations and the stipulations, then you can apply for a refund of that $250. How that process would work, nobody seems to know, and that's just a general consensus of every policy that Trump brings in, nobody knows how it's going to work. Nobody knows how it's going to be accountable to the people. And nobody really gives a shit because they are instead finding other locations to travel as holiday destinations. May I suggest Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, go down to Cuba. Cuba from Canada is beautiful trip. There's just so many different places to go. If you're looking for something else, try the Philippines, try Malaysia. Malaysia is an amazingly beautiful country. They are very friendly and they're always open to welcoming tourists. So again, you can look at where your dollar will go further for tourism, where you can check out amazing natural landscapes, wildlife, just so much to do in other nations. It doesn't have to be Disneyland in the US where you are overpaying for everything. So again, it is up to you where you spend your tourism dollars. But again, I would suggest other countries that are outside of the US. If you are more inclined to winter skiing, remember here in Metro Vancouver, we have a lot of local mountains for skiing, snowboarding, and other activities. And just an hour and a half up the highway, you can find yourself in the world-class Whistler and Blackcomb Resort. So again, you have a lot of options out there. And believe me, here in Canada, we are more than happy to welcome tourists from around the globe. We take great pride in welcoming people, whether it's for international events, going back to the Expo in 1986, the Winter Games in 2010, or other events that have been happening here over decades of really catering to the tourism and travel industry. So remember, we'd love to have you come to Vancouver or other parts of Canada that are just amazing to visit. Other than that, folks, let's move on here from that and talk about North Korea. Now, North Korean IT workers are becoming a concern. Yes, it sounds odd, but here in Canada, they have issued a public security alert regarding efforts by North Korea to exploit companies by having its IT workers pose as legitimate remote freelancers from other countries. The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, has warned that hiring such individuals is not only illegal due to international sanctions, but also exposes companies to significant risks of corporate espionage, data theft, and the inadvertent funding of North Korea's prohibited weapons program. The alert highlights red flags such as requests for cryptocurrency payments, multiple logins from various IP addresses, and an unwillingness to provide proper identification. So be very aware of that. You can also be cautious about hiring through online apps where you are looking for workers to just do contract or piecework. Again, be careful that you are not exposing yourself to the risks of dealing with North Korean IT professionals. Once again, a very high risk and warning that's been issued by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Once again, we did discuss the fact that Ozzy Osbourne has passed, the legendary rock icon, widely known as the Prince of Darkness, and the lead singer of Black Sabbath has passed away at the age of 76. His family released a statement confirming his death, stating that he was with family and surrounded by love. Osbourne's passing marks the end of an era for heavy metal music, leaving behind a profound legacy. Once again on Jess FM and Jess TV, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we will be doing a special edition of Primetime Live where you will be able to interact with the program through a live call-in or through WhatsApp, and of course through traditional chat as well. And we will be talking about the life, the legacy, and the man who was Ozzy Osbourne. Your experiences, your memories, and anything else that you want to talk about on that subject. So again, that's Thursday night on Jess FM and Jess TV, based in Lethbridge, but join us from anywhere in the world. Jess FM, that's JESSFM.ca for more details. Measles cases are continuing to spread across Canada, with reported cases extending beyond the previously identified outbreaks in Alberta and Ontario. This ongoing rise in cases is prompting renewed public health warnings and emphasizes the importance of vaccination to prevent further transmission of the highly contagious disease. And yes, there are multiple cases also reported here in British Columbia. The voting age debate, yes, that is back. A Canadian senator is actively advocating for lowering the federal voting age to 16 years old, drawing inspiration from a similar recent move by the United Kingdom. Senator Mary Lou McPedrin argues that extending voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds is logical and about fairness, given that many in this age group are employed and paying taxes, and decisions made today will significantly impact their future. Proponents argue that it would strengthen Canadian democracy and increase youth engagement. On the other side, people are arguing that the maturity level and interaction with politics for those of 16 and 17 years of age may be too soon. They think that the current voting age is more than adequate. So we'll watch and see how that develops. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Let us know what you think. Should Canada lower the voting age to 16 years, or should they leave it where it is? Let us know. Share your thoughts below in the comment section. Sad news out of Montreal. A tragic incident in upstate New York has led to the death of a 9-year-old by the name of Melina Fratolin from Montreal. Her and her father, Luciano Fratolin, has been charged, with her murder. So it was an intentional drowning, and that is very sad to hear. Preliminary autopsy results confirm Melina's cause of death was asphyxia due to drowning, classifying it as a homicide. The father had initially reported his daughter as missing, claiming an abduction, but inconsistencies in his story led investigators to focus on him, and Melina's body was later found in a shallow pond, concealed by a log. Sad news indeed. The RCMP are facing budget cuts. Yes, proposed budget cuts for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are expected to necessitate difficult decisions that will directly impact on-the-ground investigations. While specific details of the cuts are still emerging, concerns are being raised by frontline officers about potential reductions in overtime, travel budgets, and discretionary expenses, which could hinder the force's ability to effectively pursue ongoing and future criminal investigations, including those targeting organized crime. Looking around the world now, the Gaza conflict update. The humanitarian situation in Gaza has been described as dire by the Red Cross, with experts warning of imminent famine. Canada, along with 24 other countries, has signed a joint statement demanding an immediate end to the conflict and calling on Israel to lift all restrictions on the delivery of humanitarian aid. The statement also condemns Hamas for holding hostages and highlights the horrifying number of Palestinian civilians killed while seeking aid, urging for safe and effective access for UN and humanitarian NGOs. And shifting over to Russia and Ukraine, diplomatic efforts to resolve the ongoing conflict continue, with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky recently suggesting a fresh round of peace talks with Moscow next week to revive ceasefire efforts. However, Russia maintains that it will only engage in negotiations if its objectives are met, which reportedly include strict territorial demands and an end to Western military support for Ukraine. The United States has also reportedly pressured Russia with a 50-day deadline to reach a peace agreement or face severe economic consequences. At this point, though, I seriously doubt that Vladimir Putin takes Trump or anything he says seriously, and I believe that as Trump is a puppet of Putin, Putin just has to stick his hand back up Donald Trump's ass to move his lips to say something totally different. And that's exactly what I think we'll see in 50 days. I don't think Trump has the balls or the mental capacity to actually do anything in terms of putting severe economic consequences against Russia when he has been actually lifting sanctions against individuals. So again, it is really a paradox to the whole rest of the world. A Bangladesh plane crash that we had spoken about, I believe, briefly last night. Hundreds of students in Bangladesh are protesting and demanding transparency from the government following a recent plane crash that killed at least 31 people, many of whom were students. The crash, involving a Bangladesh Air Force jet, has raised questions about accountability and the handling of information, with students expressing concerns about missing individuals and the lack of clear details regarding the casualties and the ongoing investigation into the cause of the accident. For those that don't recall, the plane actually crashed into a school while it was in session, claiming the lives of students. Now, in Japan, there's a political crisis, which is interesting to see that there is a political crisis while Donald Trump is stating that the government is committing to the hundreds of billions of dollars of investment in the U.S., allowing the U.S. to keep most of the profits. Doesn't make sense. But Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba vowed to remain in power despite his ruling conditions' failure to secure a majority in the upper house election. Now, his Liberal Democratic Party and its junior coalition partner, Komeito, fell short of the 50 seats needed to retain their majority, losing 19 seats from their previous count. Excuse me. This marks the first time the LDP-led coalition has lost a majority in both houses of parliament since the party's formation in 1955, deepening political instability as Japan grapples with rising prices, a lagging economy, and high U.S. tariffs. Trump and Epstein, yes, new photos and raw video footage have reportedly surfaced, raising fresh questions about Donald Trump's past association with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Among the revelations is a previously unseen photograph showing Epstein attending Trump's 1993 wedding to Marla Maples at their New York Plaza Hotel. Other footage from a 1999 Victoria's Secret fashion show reportedly shows Trump and Epstein in conversation. These new images are reigniting public discussions and scrutiny of their relationship, particularly in light of Epstein's subsequent legal trouble. Let's also keep in mind that the Congress has recessed for the summer break instead of holding out for a few more days and bringing to the floor a vote on the release of the Epstein documents. Now, let's take a look at the UNESCO. Once again, the U.S. is looking to withdraw. The United States is reportedly set to withdraw from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization for the third time in its history and for the second time under, you guessed it, a Trump administration. This decision, expected to take effect in December 2026, signals a renewed shift towards an isolationist foreign policy. The move is seen as a blow to international collaboration in education, culture, and science, potentially limiting U.S. influence in global initiatives and leaving a void in funding for various programs. Now, in closing, we will take a look quickly here to Greece. Yes, a major forest fire has broken out near the Greek city of Corinth, prompting authorities to order the evacuation of several villages. More than 180 firefighters, supported by 15 planes and 12 helicopters, are battling the blaze in a pine forest amid challenging weather conditions, with temperatures soaring to around 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. There have been no immediate reports of casualties, but the situation remains critical as Greece enters its annual dry, hot summer period. And of course, they are prone to wildfires. We are still seeing wildfires burning across Canada. So again, we understand how the impact of wildfires can bring challenges to their country and the people. So our best wishes go to all of the Greek people, and especially those in and around the city of Corinth. So our thoughts are with you. Well, folks, that is it for another live episode of Live Chat with James at the ProPic Studios here in Metro Vancouver, British Columbia. We haven't had anybody log in to chat with us in the chat box, but again, by all means, you're welcome to leave your comments in the comment section. We not only encourage that, but we will bring them up in future episodes. In addition to that, of course, we are going to be launching the phone line for you to call in during the show as well. If you want to call in or text via cell phone, then that will be an option very soon. Speaking of live and interactive call-in shows on Thursday, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Again, don't forget that we will be looking at the life and the legacy of the one and only Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness. We'll have the phone lines open from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Thursday night, where we will be discussing live his life, his career, and his legacy, as well as inviting you to call in and share memories of your favorite Ozzy Osbourne song, or offer your condolences and any other discussions around Ozzy Osbourne that you would like to partake in. Once again, if you are looking to call in on Thursday night, the number is 368-997-6741. You can call in via standard telephone, or you can use the WhatsApp. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Thanks again for tuning in to another live chat with James, and we will see you soon.